For centuries, money has changed shape many times. Metal turned into paper, paper turned into plastic, and now, plastic is turning into code. But here's the part most people never learn. Every time cash has died, every single time, the same pattern appears. A crisis begins, trust collapses, old money becomes worthless, and a new system rises, one designed not just to fix the economy, but to control the people inside it. From Weimar Germany in 1923, to India in 2016, to China today, the same cycle has repeated. When physical money disappears, freedom disappears with it. And now, after 200 years of this pattern, a new form of money is arriving. One designed with more control than anything humanity has ever seen. Imagine a world where every purchase you make, every donation you give, every transaction you attempt, has to be approved by someone else. A world where money can be frozen, altered, traced, taxed instantly, blocked with a single command. Not because you broke a law, but because a system decided your behavior didn't fit the rules. This isn't science fiction. It's the blueprint of digital currency, the final stage of the cash death cycle. In this episode, we're going to uncover the real reason governments around the world are preparing to eliminate cash, and what happens to ordinary people when money becomes something they don't own, but something they must request permission to use. Here is the central idea of this entire episode. Every major transition away from physical cash follows a predictable four-stage pattern. Debt grows out of control. Crisis breaks public trust. Replacement money is introduced. Control increases dramatically. And today, right now, the world is entering stage 3, the replacement stage. Digital currency isn't the future of money. It is the future of control. Here's how this documentary will unfold. Chapter 1. The Pattern. How cash collapses across history and why governments always benefit. Chapter 2. Case Studies. 3 major transitions that followed the exact same cycle. Weimar Germany, 1923. India's 2016 demonetization. China's digital yuan rollout. Chapter 3. The digital currency shift. Why CBDCs are the most powerful control tool ever invented. Present day. What the US, EU, IMF, and China are building, and how quickly it's moving. Synthesis plus forecast, where the cycle leads over the next decade. Final warning, what the end of cash really means for your autonomy. Before we begin, here's the part that might shock you. More than 90% of the world's money is already digital, but it's not yet centralized. Banks hold it, companies move it, people spend it freely. But once a digital currency is controlled directly by the state, the rules change. The system becomes programmable, and programmable money means programmable citizens. Now let's decode the pattern. Money doesn't die overnight. It dies in stages, the same stages repeated across hundreds of years. Let's break down the cycle. Stage 1, overspending and debt spiral. Every cash death cycle begins with the same catalyst. Governments spend more money than they can justify or repay. Rome debased its silver coins. France printed assignats. Weimar Germany printed trillions of marks. Modern nations expand deficits endlessly. Debt becomes the oxygen of the system, and the system gets addicted. But debt always reaches a breaking point. Stage 2, trust declines. When people lose trust in the currency, they rush to convert cash into anything else. Gold, real estate, foreign currency, even food. The state cannot allow this to continue. Because once trust dies, so does the government's ability to control the economy. Stage 3, the replacement begins. This is the most predictable moment in every monetary collapse. When confidence is shattered, governments present a solution. A new money system. Historically, this has taken many forms. New notes, new denominations, new exchange rates, new restrictions, new monetary rules. And every time, the public is told, this will restore stability. But behind the scenes, the goal is compliance, not stability. Stage 4, control consolidates. Once cash is replaced, even partially, the government gains powers it never had before. They can limit withdrawals, track transactions, set expiration dates, seize assets, freeze accounts. In the digital era, these powers increase exponentially. Which brings us to the most important part of this chapter. Digital currency is not the beginning of the cycle. It is the final stage, the stage where money stops being a tool for citizens and becomes a tool for the state. Now that we understand the pattern, let's travel through 3 key moments in history where cash died and control rose in its place. Each case follows the same sequence: debt crisis, replacement, control, and each case reveals something crucial about what's coming next. Weimar Germany, 1923. The most extreme cash death event in modern history. After World War I, Germany was drowning in reparations, payments they couldn't make. So the government printed money, more and more, until printing presses ran day and night. Debt spiraled. Inflation accelerated. Confidence evaporated. By late 1923, prices doubled every few hours. People rushed to spend money before it became worthless. Salaries were paid twice a day. Families burned banknotes for heat. Cash no longer meant anything. Only survival did. In November 1923, a new currency appeared, the Rentenmark. The government banned large parts of the old mark, forcing citizens into the new system immediately. The message was simple: use this new money or lose everything. Once the new currency was accepted, the government regained control of prices, wages, and economic behavior. The cash death event wasn't an accident. It was a reset, a controlled reset, disguised as a rescue. Historical lesson: when cash collapses, citizens lose power. When new money arrives, governments gain it. India's 2016 demonetization. A modern example of cash dying overnight. On November 8, 2016, India's Prime Minister announced something no one expected. 501,000 rupee notes, 86% of all cash, were illegal starting at midnight. The justification? Fight corruption, reduce black money, increase digital payments. Within hours, lines formed outside banks. People were unable to buy medicine, food, or fuel. 2,000 plus ATMs ran out of cash. Small businesses collapsed. Cash-based society became cashless society, not gradually, but instantly. While the public scrambled to exchange notes, the government expanded. Aadhaar, digital ID, UPI digital payments, mandatory bank linking, phone-based transaction monitoring. Physical cash was replaced with digital rails. The government gained unprecedented visibility into every citizen's financial life. Who bought what? Who sent money to whom? Who held savings? Who withdrew cash? Who avoided banks? A new architecture of financial surveillance emerged permanently. Crises don't create government power. Crises justify power the government already wanted. India wasn't just reducing corruption, it was training a population for a future cashless system. China's digital yuan 2014, present. The most advanced government-controlled digital currency in the world. China engineered the decline of cash deliberately. By encouraging WeChat Pay and Alipay, physical money became unnecessary. Urban China transformed into a society where even street vendors used QR codes. Once private companies dominated digital payments, the state stepped in with something new. The digital yuan, a fully centralized, programmable form of money. Unlike WeChat or bank transfers, this currency doesn't just track transactions. It allows the state to freeze wallets, limit spending categories, set expiration dates, block certain purchases, assign penalties, restrict travel through spending limits. This isn't digital convenience, it's digital governance. The digital yuan is now linked to OID, location, telecom accounts, social credit, public transportation, government subsidies. Money isn't just money, it's part of a control network. When the state designs the rails, the final destination belongs to the state. China shows what happens when cash dies fully. There is no alternative system left. Now that we've seen how cash dies and how governments replace it, we need to understand why digital currency represents the final stage of this 200-year pattern. Because digital currency is not just another form of money. It is programmable, traceable, and permission-based. A government-issued digital currency, a CBDC, gives the state 3 powers that no king, emperor, or dictator ever had. Every transaction becomes a data point. Every dollar has a history. Every payment reveals behavior. With cash, the state had limits. With CBDCs, those limits disappear. This is stage 4, total visibility. CBDCs allow governments to approve, deny, or redirect spending. Examples of capabilities already discussed by central banks. High carbon, purchases limited, daily spending caps, restricted categories, no alcohol, no travel, no donations, geofenced money that only works in certain areas, expiring money to force consumption. This is stage 4, behavioral control. This is the most important part. When the government controls the flow of money, it can control the flow of society. Reward compliance, punish dissent, freeze opponents, modify social behavior, incentivize political loyalty. Once cash disappears, the state gains a new form of power, not over money, but over people. This is stage 4, social engineering. And these aren't theories, they're already being tested. Digital currency is not a local experiment. It is a global transition, coordinated, deliberate, and accelerating. Let's look at the major players. United States, the hidden infrastructure. The US has not officially announced a digital dollar, but the infrastructure is already being built. 1. FedNow, launched 2023. Real-time settlement, always-on transaction rails, core CBDC architecture. FedNow is not a digital currency. It is the highway digital currency we'll use. 2. Pilot programs. The New York Federal Reserve, MIT, and major banks have tested offline CBDC wallets, controlled CBDC issuance, transaction-level programmability. These pilots aren't theoretical. They're operational. 3. Crisis will be the trigger. History shows the U.S. never changes money without crisis. 1933, gold confiscation. 1971, dollar removed from gold. 2008, QE begins. 2023 to 2024, banking stress reappears. When trust breaks, replacement begins. Europe, digital euro framework. The EU has already moved forward with legislation for the digital euro. Key features under discussion: spending limits, citizen identification, controlled wallet tiers, privacy restrictions, programmable stimulus. The EU isn't asking whether digital currency will exist. They are asking how much control is too much, and their answer keeps changing. Africa, the failed experiment. Nigeria launched the e-Naira, one of the world's first digital currencies. Citizens rejected it. Why? Because they understood the consequences. Forced digital compliance, withdrawal limits, spending restrictions, surveillance fears. So the government tried to push people: cash withdrawal caps, ATM restrictions, cash scarcity. The result? Protests, riots, and public distrust. This is a preview of what happens when cash is eliminated too quickly. The IMF, World Bank, and BS have repeatedly stated the same goal: a globally interoperable digital currency system. Not one currency, but one global infrastructure where all CBDCs can be coordinated, monitored, and regulated. This means unified standards, cross-border controls, shared data, synchronized restrictions. Digital money will not be isolated. It will be connected. And once connected, it becomes something new: a global monetary governance system. China already has what the West is building: digital ID, digital currency, social credit, behavior-linked financial access, unified databases, real-time monitoring. When people ask, what will digital currency look like? The answer is simple. Look at China. When cash dies fully, what rises is not convenience. What rises is control. We've now seen the pattern, the history, and the global rollout. The question now is, where does this cycle lead? That's the next chapter, and the most important part of this video. We've studied the pattern. We've seen the historical proof. We've watched the global rollout. Now we put it all together. Throughout history, when governments lose control of the economy, they regain control of the population. Not through force, not through armies, but through money. Let's summarize the pattern one last time. Stage 1. Debt explodes. Governments spend more than the system can sustain. Stage 2. Crisis breaks trust. People lose faith in the currency. Stage 3. Replacement appears. A new financial system is introduced as the solution. Stage 4. Control consolidates. Citizens lose autonomy. The state regains power. This cycle has occurred in empires, in monarchies, in democracies, in developing nations, in modern countries. Different cultures, different governments. Same pattern. Because money has never just been a tool of trade. Money has always been a tool of power. And now, in the digital age, for the first time in human history, that tool can be perfected. Digital currency completes the cycle. It gives governments the ability to see everything, block anything, reward compliance, punish dissent, automate control through code. Once cash disappears, you lose the ability to save privately, the ability to transact anonymously, the ability to survive outside the system. The state regains something even deeper than financial authority. It gains behavioral authority, the power to shape what you buy, where you go, how you live. This is the final stage of the monetary cycle. And the reason it's happening now is simple. The global debt system has reached its limit. When nations can no longer control the economy, they turn to controlling the population, and they do it through the money. History gives us a clear warning. When cash dies, freedom shrinks. When money becomes programmable, people become programmable. This transition will not happen overnight. It won't be announced with fanfare. It will arrive through crises, convenience, incentives, digital upgrades, new regulations, new security requirements, new forms of identification. Each step will feel harmless. Each change will feel logical. Each update will feel modern. Until one day, you wake up in a world where money no longer belongs to you, where your ability to participate in the economy depends on rules someone else wrote, where every transaction is a data point, every purchase is an evaluation, every payment is a permission, and there is no alternative system left. Not gold, not paper, not cash, just code, controlled at the center. That is the real reason for digital currency. Not efficiency, not modernization, not speed, control. If you've reached this point in the video, you're already ahead of the cycle. Most people won't see the pattern until it's too late. Most people won't understand the consequences until the system is already in place. But you do. And if you want to stay ahead, to understand the next stage before it arrives, subscribe to the channel. Not because it helps the algorithm, not because it's expected, but because the world is changing, and knowing how money works is the only way to stay free inside a system designed for control. This is decoded finance. And this was the pattern behind the death of cash.